Where are we?
We are at Moe's Irish Pub.
Yeah, and what day is it?
The day before my birthday.
Which birthday would that be?
My 20th
20th.
birthday.
Wow. So next year, you can have one of those.
Don't taunt me.
I hear about like all the good food. So cheers, Emily.
Happy
With my,
birthday! Happy
Dr.
birthday
Pepper.
tomorrow.
The highlight of my day. So if it's like not good.
Thank you. We should get a shot of this table. This table's cool. It's like, have you ever had an Angry Orchard? It's the label of the Angry Orchard, but it's the table.
Oh, so it is. Hard cider. No, I have never had one.
My friend Cody, who I'm having my party with tomorrow, almost exclusively drinks Angry Orchard. He's also, his birthday was last Friday and he turned 28.
28?
Yeah.
He's a theater student?
And technically he's a freshman. He came into school with me, but he just got into the acting program, so now he's a freshman again. And he came back to school. He was a professional wrestler.
Oh, that
Came
guy,
back to school.
yes.
Yeah.
So we're celebrating our 20th and 28th birthdays together. I joked with him that my
He
senior...
can't still be a professional wrestler.
He did it all last year, but just recently retired. But I think he's going to go back to it. He's just quitting for a while. But I keep teasing him that year after next we'll have a party together and we'll be celebrating his 30th birthday. Which is weird.
We had our moments with him, that's for sure.
So he went through the theater program once? No.
He went to IU, not IU Bloomington, IU, the one up north. I don't remember where it is. He went there for like a year when he first graduated high school, and then he dropped out to do wrestling. And then through wrestling, he fell in love with acting. And he came into Ball State last year, not as an acting major, having never auditioned for a play or been in a play in his life. He didn't even know. I think he showed up to his first audition without a monologue because he didn't even know that was something. Thank you.
I could not. What is this?
Maybe I have had these.
They're hot.
Yeah, yeah. Like,
So now has he been in plays and stuff?
Yes.
Because
He was in Three Sisters.
that's like
what
a
did I say?
recipe for thinking you wanted to do something, but then finding out you didn't really want
He
to.
got into the program and stuff. He was in Three Sisters. He was in Equus.
He was in Three Sisters?
He was the real dorky one that they made fun of the whole time. Three Sisters is not a very memorable play. Don't worry.
No, but I
He's tall, real muscly.
well, yeah, that's why I would think I would remember
He was-
because I've seen him.
Yeah.
When we pulled up to the theater or something.
His
and
costume covered it up a lot, but I mean, he's covered in tattoos. He has full sleeves. Well, full and then almost a full sleeve on the side. So,
I think his smoke, like his just thought of opening the door.
Yeah, one time.
We always laugh about, wait till we see the nursing homes.
there's actually been a lot of photos published recently of older people with full tattoos, and they look just fine.
They don't say.
Nope. Nope.
I would imagine that the quality of tattoos is better. We had a friend
Oh wait, house.
who would be a couple of 3 years younger than us, but basically our age, who had gotten a tattoo when he was in the service,
And I get like, I'm very good about like not.
and he was really actually quite ashamed of it, but it had faded so badly that it looked like crap. I mean, even if you like tattoos, this would
Even
look
if
like
you
crap.
even if you get a tattoo now, you still have to get it touched up every 5-10 years or so, and if you keep them touched up and looking good, then they look fine your whole life. I like tattoos.
Yeah. And here's the thing: when people Emily's age get into nursing homes, everybody will have a tattoo. So it's not like, oh, your tattoo is unusual. And it looks bad.
I haven't took a picture of my table and sent I was showing.
I think tattoos are a form of art.
I don't understand right now.
I think tattoos are a form of art.
Took the shoes off and was standing up. Yeah, standing up on my couch, taking pictures of my artwork. I'm a big artist. I love art. I'm a big art guy.
People talk about it being like the most permanent form of art. But really that's not true because we are a lot less permanent than a lot of paintings and stuff that are around. But
You gave stars too.
I didn't know you got them. I'm sorry.
I don't get them that bad.
He's over this door, he's sleeping. And he sprayed a whole
This is the first one I've had in like a long time.
That's for me.
My dad has had a couple recently. They're really bad.
I have before. And it's,
Did he tell you about the smart money class he's taking? Well, he signed up for it a couple months ago, and then never heard anything about it. So he thought it was done.
Yeah.
So he got a call-out slip one day for the education department, and he thought, well, what's this about? Do they think I don't have a GED, a high school diploma or something? Because everybody's required to have a GED.
Really.
I've been sprayed one because I see
He went down there, and it was the first day of class.
Okay.
Lots of notice.
Okay.
He's also going to sign up for an investment class. He's going to be a busy boy.
That's cool that there's those opportunities.
Yeah. Of course, you don't know if and when it would start.
Right.
It'll be just a big surprise one day.
These are very good.
We
Is
have,
this
to
just
we have to get them at Scotty's next time.
okay?
Scotty's has the best pickle chips I've ever had. Amazing Joe's has pretty good ones too.
I expected it to be a long pickle.
You wouldn't have very much of the batter if you did that.
I went, Isaac and I went a while back to Chili's in Muncie, and their big menu spread was that they had these new pickles that were like made in-house and ripened to like perfect crispness and not too much, and then they had these pickle chips, and we were like, well, we have to get them, so we got them, and the pickles still tasted like cucumbers, like they hadn't been ripened enough, you know? They were gross, and they were like, the batter didn't actually stick to them very well, so it was just like falling off. They were really bad, and it was like all they were advertising in their menu.
You mean the ads didn't agree with reality?
No.
I have never heard of such a thing.
It was more just like, why are you advertising these so heavily when they're this bad?
My mom made
Well, there is
pickles,
one
and I think
theory
the
of-
only thing I remember her doing was taking the cucumber and cutting it up and putting it in brine for a long time. I remember the house smelling bad.
It's like vinegar and, you know,
salt.
you just soak them for a long time. But their whole thing was that they like soaked them to perfect crispness, because if you soak them too long, they get real flimsy. But you gotta soak them a little more than that, or else they're still cucumbers. They still taste like cucumbers. And I like cucumbers, but that's not what I want. You know?
The bad odors in our house were when she made sauerkraut, pickles, and pickled pig's feet.
Whenever Patrick makes salsa, because he makes homemade salsa, I have to leave the house because he has to cut so many onions that I can be sitting 4 rooms away and my eyes are still watering like crazy. I just have to leave the house. It's miserable. It's like actually painful.
Then do you eat the salsa after he's made?
There's one left. Do you want it?
No, you can have it. I'm going to take some of the lettuce. Well, isn't it when you cook cabbage or boil cabbage or something that it gives off a tremendously bad odor?
Yeah, they did. I went a few times.
When people were talking about having St. Patrick's Day dinner, all I could think of was the horrible odor.
So, if you ever saw people in bathing suits, that was probably.
Richie's grandma came up and made us St. Patrick's Day dinner. She made us corned beef and cabbage, but it wasn't like
Who's grandma?
Richie's.
Oh.
She made us corned beef and cabbage, but it was like potatoes with cabbage mixed in, so it wasn't just like boiled cabbage, and soda bread, which was good. It's like a really dense bread with raisins in it. It was good. It was big. The loaf came like this, and you cut like huge slices off. I think I had a slice like that big.
She did this at your house?
I think soda bread is
That's funny. I was actually always
a relative of that hardtack I was telling you.
I would go with it. And I would always be the loudest one in the group, though, and all my friends
A dense bread.
like, holy shut up! Because I'm like getting everyone to just come.
I'm fairly offended by the shirts that they are having their female servers wear.
Are you?
Just the back of it.
Oh,
That would be great.
oh, I see.
Only the female servers.
Our friends, they had like usually
Yeah.
like
If you become a bartender, then you're gonna have to face some of that crap.
If she doesn't like it, she'll quit. Bartenders can go anywhere.
I always loved inviting him.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, that's right. I wouldn't have noticed, but that's not necessary. What does that add?
And it would be one thing if everybody was wearing it, because then it would just be kind of funny. But when they're just having the women wear it, it's really sexist. And it's like asking for issues.
You know, you're probably not going to see the end of it. Did you see that, you know, the kid who was identified, the Oklahoma State, was it Oklahoma or Oklahoma State kid, identified making the racist chant? This is the SAE house.
Yeah.
You know? So you know he's been identified.
Yeah.
So he apologized.
There was a whole group of them.
Yeah, but this kid is kind of,
His face
Like
was
the head of
really
it.
showing.
and so he made this really lame apology.
I think
Obviously insincere.
Yeah, I think I told you guys about this, but one of my friends posted this status that was like, it said something like, I overheard some SAE guys on campus talking about how they were frustrated that their entire fraternity was being judged for this one thing. It must suck to have one group of people determine how your entire population is judged. And it actually went viral. It was all over all kinds of sites. Like, I kept seeing it shared by people who didn't even know him. It was all over the place. It was really cool. He was like internet famous for a minute.
Well, you mean this post was saying it was unfair to SAEs?
No, he was saying that basically the point was black people are often judged by the groups of by individuals, and it's assumed that the entire population does that. And so these guys were complaining that their whole fraternity was being judged, thank you, based on the actions of like a few people. And he was like, boy, that must be tough.
All right,
I had to do
Steve.
it once because I had to say I did.
Well,
It's unfortunate that wasn't just one SAE chapter or one SAE.
no.
Well, there's even a sorority that got
See,
involved.
in fact, that thing is institutionalized because remember the kid was asked, where did you learn the chant? Where did the chant come from? And he
It
wouldn't
was passed
answer.
down. Did you guys hear? I'm sure you've heard about the Religious Freedom Bill.
Oh, in Indianapolis? Or Indiana? Oh, yeah.
That's me.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
Chicken and shrimp boxy.
That's me.
Alrighty, sir. You're in for a treat.
I'm in for a treat. Hey.
Mayonnaise and a salad.
Mind if I get that out of here real quick?
That's the little one.
That's the little Caesar salad. That's right.
Wow.
Somebody wants some
Well,
salad?
we can help. We can help you.
That's right too.
Perfect. And you and your
Table here.
What is this big?
Here you are.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Enjoy.
Damn serious, he wants some salad.
Maybe later.
But
Yeah, it's interesting how those kinds of bills are always titled
Yeah.
religious freedom.
It's basically legalized discrimination.
So it's free to discriminate.
Yeah. Do you know about this?
I do, but I can't remember.
They signed in a bill that businesses can now refuse service to anyone on the basis of freedom
Now,
of
has this
religion.
passed? Did it pass?
The crappy thing is, and everybody's up in arms about it, especially the people I know, Mike Pence, it got to the point where it was to him to veto it or sign it. Everybody was calling, emailing, writing. He turned off his phone and his voicemail to not hear the complaints of the citizens when this is supposed to be a representative government, and signed the bill anyway. It's legalized discrimination.
This is the kind of stuff that happens when you have one party dominating the government.
We were talking in my theater, the 21st century class, about it because we're kind of focused on a few plays about LGBT rights anyway.
Small plate, so we can share this.
Yeah, of course. Do you want just one little small plate or two?
Well, if you give me two, then I can have a big plate.
What was I saying?
You're in this class where you're talking about LGBT.
Yeah, we were talking, because we do like subjects and then read plays about them, so we're kind of talking about LGBT issues anyway. So we got talking about this bill, and we were like,
Oh, thank you.
What do you think about that?
It's good.
Good? You
Yeah,
like
but
it?
I don't think you'd like it because it's tomatoey.
Yeah, it's pretty tomato.
Well, I made the right
like
decision.
it because the tomato with the shrimp is kind of different.
yeah.
But
No, it's good.
It's okay if you like tomatoey.
Looks good.
But we got to talking and kind of came to the conclusion that, or we were talking about, I said something about, I just can't wait until a non-Christian owned organization or business refuses service to a super Christian on the basis of freedom of religion.
Yeah.
And it won't fly. I know it won't. People will get up in arms about it. People who support this bill will get up in arms about it. And we were like, what someone really needs to do is just like, for the purpose of progress and having it be known that this is not a discriminatory thing, but just to make a point, make up some religion and get enough people on your side where it says that you can't like serve black people, and start having people that you know that won't get super offended come into your store and kick them out, and show the government that you're basically reenacting Jim Crow laws
Yeah.
by passing this bill.
Does this bill cover just religious reasons, or could they do
it's-
service?
I think
No,
it's
it's
religious.
religious.
Or just religious?
But I mean, on those grounds, technically, Christian organizations should be refusing service to divorcees, like a lot more than just the LGBT community, which is mostly what it's concerning.
But they can hide behind religion.
But there's also
whatever.
things about like slavery in the Bible, so they could refuse service. You know, like that's really unsettling.
Once you refuse service to one group, it's going to be more than one group.
When that bill was in committee, I think, there were still a majority of Republicans on the committee, but there were some number of Democrats. It was like maybe 9-7 or something like that. So the Republicans on the committee called a surprise meeting to hear the bill and did not tell the Democrats about it. None of the Democrats showed up, and the Republicans unanimously passed it out of committee. So, I mean, this is how underhanded
dirty.
the thing is.
Yeah, it passed kind of scary easily, actually. Especially because
It just gets worse here all the time, so you don't have.
Especially because when you look at, this is supposed to be representative government or whatever, there are so many people who oppose this bill. There are so many people who have been calling the governor's office and like trying to do everything they can Yet it passed so easily, and when people try to let their voice be heard, Mike Pence turns off his phone and says, "I refuse to hear the opinions
I haven't
of
heard
the
any
citizens."
like public opinion polls on this subject. But the reason it passed the legislature was because the legislature is absolutely controlled by the Republicans.
Yeah. There have been a lot of political issues that mass amounts of my friends and people who are in the theater department have gotten up in arms about. This is by far the biggest. If you open my Facebook right now and just scroll through once, I guarantee you will see 10 posts that all say sign the petition to recall Mike Pence. There's like a huge petition right now.
This is online signature. Forward it.
I will. I haven't signed it
You
yet,
know,
but I'm going to.
he's in the
It's great. Yeah.
Like it?
he's in the conversation as a Republican presidential candidate. You know? I mean, he hasn't announced anything. But
If Mike Pence is president, I'm moving.
Simply cutting them out and putting it on a transparent.
Like, just having that blatant disrespect for the people of Indiana, that you would shut off your phone in order to not hear them.
Well, we just ran into something that was very disconcerting. There's a guy in our development who is running for city council, and he's a Republican. So he and his representatives separately have come around with absentee ballots. They're trying to get the vote out, and they think that it would be good to have a representative from our community on the council, and that's true, it would be, because of Republicans. And on this absentee ballot that they give you, there is a box beside a statement that says, I voted
either
whatever I vote in this election, I will vote in the general election next fall. And that box was checked and said you're a Republican.
That's your job.
And you know, I said to people, how can that I knew were Democrats, how can you vote for him? How can you do this? Because what it says there is if you vote for him as a Republican, you are obligated in the fall to vote Republican. And they said, oh, we just ignore it and vote however we want. And I thought, I need to say, you know, if this is on the absentee ballot, then that's got to be part of the law.
Yeah.
And we just refuse to do it.
But again, Norma, there's no way to check. Because it's definitely against the law for somebody to pull your ballot and see how you voted. But, yeah, he came to the door today campaigning, and I sort of know the guy a little bit, and he's a nice enough guy. I'm sure we disagree on some policy thing, but I told him I'm not going to compromise my principles just to vote for you, basically. I'm not going to check that box that says, by checking this box, I'm committing to voting mostly Republican in the next election. It's not worth it.
There was also a bill, which will never pass, but it's disturbing that it was even a thing in California, where a group of representatives wanted to make it legal to basically execute gays. Basically, if you walked up to a gay person and shot them in the head, you would have no consequences. And I realized that would never pass, but it's like, that's really
What
disturbing.
was that? Are you talking about a while ago? Proposition 8?
No, this was like in the last month or month and a half.
I read the Quran. I didn't read anything about it. But you're right, it's never going to fly because Although the Democrats lost their supermajority in California, they still have a firm majority.
Yeah, if I do that much more, I do like it.
But it's so disturbing that that would even be something that's thought of as being an acceptable thing. You can literally walk up to another human being, kill them, and have no legal repercussions.
So, I didn't even think about it until I saw the scene. I saw a picture. It's a sea lion. That is.
Well, it had to be couched in more subtle terms than that. But I think these stand your ground laws, which Indiana has one, you know, under the right circumstances, sort of get translated like that.
I just never put sea lion when they actually like,
You know, you can wear a hood and be shot.
last name. Yeah. I saw like sea lion and
Well, speaking of ironies, you know about the two police officers who got shot in Ferguson, Missouri, right?
Yeah,
Not killed, but shot.
shot.
And the police chief was quoted as saying how terrible it was that they were shot just because of that they were police officers, you know? And talk about ironic, because people get shot all the time for the crime of being black.
Yep. Did you ever see the report published that it was the report that the national government did on their investigation on the Ferguson Police Department?
Yeah.
And did you ever see the report? And like all the things that they've done, just like
Yep.
it's so corrupt.
So corrupt.
Like hundreds and hundreds of instances in the last 10 years.
I did
Well,
one.
the fact that they were
I usually don't do much
handing out tickets for the purpose of being members.
Yeah.
Well, I think every municipality has that in their budgets. But what was happening in Missouri, in Ferguson, and listen, it's far from unique, is they were targeting black people.
The page I went to, they had his stats for the past 2 years and this year. And he is doing miserably for them in spring training compared to how he did for us. Miserably.
Well, we better hope as Giants fans that spring training is no indication of
Yeah, and there are
future
lots of
performance.
Panda hats on eBay.
Yeah,
No surprise there.
yeah. Well, Emily, tomorrow you turn 20.
Yes, I do.
That's kind of a milestone.
Yeah.
No longer a teenager.
Uh-huh.
Gonna feel a lot different?
Probably not. Maybe a little.
More like an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, 20 feels like actually an adult.
Well, you've been legally an adult for quite a while.
Yeah.
So tell us about the party tomorrow.
I'm having a big party with my friend Cody. It's heroes and villains themed. It's like a theater major party.
So are you a hero or a villain?
I'm a villain.
Which one?
I am going as Plankton from SpongeBob. And Miranda is going. Have you guys ever watched SpongeBob at all?
No.
When you were little, yeah.
So Plankton's wife is a computer, and her name is Karen. Miranda is going as Karen, and Richie is going as Mr. Krabs.
Can you buy costumes or rent costumes, or are you making?
I have a crocheted hat with Plankton's like eye and antennas on it, and then I'm just wearing. I have some green pants that are kind of like this style, and then just a green like crop top shirt.
Are people gonna know what you are? The only
I
thing,
got the hat.
the hat.
People-
The hat is all.
People will know. believe
People
me.
will know.
And he's like all green, so I just really needed to wear all green and then have that.
In her generation, SpongeBob was so huge. that everybody would recognize it. We would not.
I don't know if I have the picture. I took a picture. The hat's out in my car, but
So how many kids are going?
well, the people who have RSVP'd on the event page, which keep in mind to a college party means very little, just because people show up or they don't show up, whatever.
And others show up when they weren't going to.
96 have RSVP'd.
Holy cow!
But keep in mind, college parties, like, people don't like go and stay the whole time. That's like people who will be coming and going throughout the night, maybe only staying for a few minutes. That's not like 96 people.
And
all
You
the
sound
time.
like you're trying to talk yourself into this.
No, like,
That
I'm
96,
excited.
that 96 won't be in your little house
I'm a
all
little
at one
worried
time.
about a party this big. I'll be honest about that. I'm a little worried about a party this big. But it'll be okay. I looked at, because this house that we're doing it at has a lot of theater parties, and I went back and looked at some of the event pages, and they've had parties that I've been to where 150 people have RSVP'd, and I've gone and there's maybe 45, 50 people there. At
So this
most.
is not your house that the
No.
party, oh.
No.
Did you have to rent the place?
No, it's a house that theater majors house. It's rented by a bunch of theater majors, and they have parties there a bunch. So we just went to them and asked if we could do it, and they said as long as we clean up afterwards that we could do it.
So you and who are providing all the food?
This party starts at 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, so no food.
No food.
Okay, so who's providing all the drinks?
Whoever comes is providing their own if they so choose. Cody apparently is buying some stuff to like give to people and then just asking for donations to kind of pay him back. But I was like, I'm not putting money into that. If you would like to do that, go for it. You do you. I'm not going to.
So then if somebody is drinking illegally, you're not responsible.
They're okay. Here's what I'm telling you guys. On every
Is this for real or is this what you're
no,
telling
this
us,
is for real.
guys?
This is for real. Underage drinking happens at parties.
Of course it does.
In case you weren't sure, that's something that happens. But on because big parties like this that happen throughout the year, they'll make like a Facebook event page, and in the description of the event, really in all caps, they always put absolutely no underage drinking, just like to be safe. And I've known people to even. There was one house last year that had a bunch of parties that they would print off sheets of paper that said no underage drinking and post it all over their house. And so, not that that keeps people from doing it, and not that they even expect that to keep people from drinking, but it helps if a party were to get busted or something, they've taken those measures. I don't know that it keeps them completely safe, and
Well,
I don't
certainly-
think legally it keeps them safe, but
No,
it
probably not.
helps.
Have you ever been
A
to a
little.
party that's been busted?
Yeah, a lot of the time though, they will just say, especially with really big parties, they'll say everybody leave, and then they'll just like talk to the people who live there. They'll just shut down the party basically, rather than like getting everybody in trouble. At
Yeah.
the beginning of the year, and I think this was to scare the freshmen, honestly, I heard that there were a lot of undercover cops going into parties dressed normally. But I also heard that undercover cops legally have to be invited into a party to be able to come in, which isn't that hard when you've got a bunch of drunk people going, hey, come in, there's a party, you know? But once people figured out that that was a thing, like Austin had a lot of parties at his house, which was really dumb, but he would just like stay out on the porch all night and not actively invite anybody in, you know? But I know of a lot of people who got busted by undercover cops at parties, which I think is a real crappy thing to do. Because I understand, but at the same time, at that point you're just trying to get money out of kids, you're in a college town, just shut down the party, people will leave, people will go home,
Yeah.
you know, deal with the people who live there. Ball State's like one of the biggest party schools.
Is it?
Years ago, before, this was like probably 10 years ago, it was one of the biggest party schools in the country.
I would think because there were so many education majors and nursing majors that this would not be a the activity.
Yeah, it's not as big a party school anymore, but like when I was initially talking about going to Ball State, almost all of, especially my mom's friends, would be like, oh, that's a big party school. You know, it was just like well known that Ball State was a really big party school. It's not so much anymore. I think IU is a bigger party school than Ball State, but there's definitely parties. I mean, people leave their house not knowing where they're going to go, walk around a neighborhood, and just find a party on the weekends.
Well, Norma, you remember Santa Barbara was like that.
Yeah.
That area where
Isla Vista.
Isla Vista, yeah, that's the way it worked on the weekends.
Yeah. It was just one huge party. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I sort of sympathize with the police, Emily, on that deal because, you know, think if you're a cop and you know that there's a lot of underage drinking going on there, and so you break up the party, and one of those kids drunk is driving home and kills somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you take their mission seriously to protect and to serve, it's just the details of how they do that job. Yeah, the invasion of privacy where they try to infiltrate a party,
Yeah.
that sounds a little much for college kids who are just blowing off steam, but I don't know where you draw that line.
I've known, recently, I have known of a couple parties where the cops have never actually busted the party, but they'll go and just park in front of the house and everybody scatters.
yeah.
They don't even have to get out of the car. They just park and they shut down the party without ever getting out of the car. Or at least, because sometimes they're
Turn
not
on
even,
the siren.
sometimes they're not even as concerned about shutting down the party as they are about like lessening the party. So like I know of a party that I think Isaac and Cody were at, and maybe a couple of my other friends, where that happened, where the car just parked outside, and I heard about it and I called them and I was like, hey, there's a cop outside the party. You guys probably want to leave. They're all 21. So they were like, no, like we're not gonna leave. We're 21. Like we're allowed to be here. We're allowed to be drinking. We're not doing anything wrong. So cops not actively busting a party basically just lessens the party because there are, I mean, juniors, seniors, most of them are 21, and if they're the ones partying, then
Yeah,
They're not
it's
gonna
legal
leave.
as long as they're not creating a disturbance or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, as long as people aren't being super disruptive, they usually don't mind too much.
Well, yeah, I think the reality a lot of times is the cops don't show up unless they get a complaint of some kind. So, you know, these kids are having a big party and they're too loud and I can't get to sleep. Well, then the
Right.
cops show up.
Well, and like at a lot of theater parties, especially at this house where I'm having my party, and we're doing this at my party, they ask people to be like bouncers. So they stand at the door where people come in and basically just say, who do you know who lives here? Or in our case on Saturday, or tomorrow, it'll be, whose birthday is this? Who do you know whose birthday this is? So that we don't get, because like I said, if parties get big enough, and we like to keep theater parties to theater majors. And then there's exceptions to that, like there's some people in other majors who used to be theater majors who still come to parties, or people who just a lot of people know who come to theater parties. But we like to keep it to theater majors. And so they'll stand at the door and say, who do you know who's a theater major? Or what's your major? And that just keeps random people from coming in.
That's a good idea.
Because random people, if they see that there is a party, will try to come in. Absolutely, they will.
And generally, they're the troublemakers.
Yeah, yep. And so, and theater majors, the thing that I love about theater majors is that theater parties get crazy. Like, theater parties are known for getting crazy. However, they're also known for not getting busted. Because we all know each other, we all, like, respect and care about each other. Nobody wants this to get busted. Everybody probably knows the people who rent this house. Nobody wants them to get in trouble. Whereas when you have random parties,
Yeah,
people
sure.
get crazy and out of control because they don't know or
No
respect people who
accountability.
live there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so theater parties get crazy from inside, but they're very good about not being too loud and not spending a lot of time outside, and theater parties don't get busted. They just don't really.
Unless, of course, you have 96 kids in one house.
It's a big house. It's a very big house.
Are there, on your street, are there any other houses where anybody,
We can't really have parties. I mean, like I'm having my little get together tonight, but I think that's 10 people at most. And we had a New Year's Eve party where we invited a lot of people, but we did so knowing that a lot of people weren't going to be in Muncie because it was break. And so, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 people showed up, but we couldn't really have done more than 20 because our whole neighborhood is residential.
Yeah.
So all of our neighbors are like working adults, like not college students.
There aren't any other students on that block?
Not that I know of.
Huh.
wow, that says a lot for why your landlord wanted to hold on to that house for you guys.
Yeah. So it's kind of both nice and a bummer because when you have a house that's around all the other college houses, parties don't get busted because people don't call because
Right.
they're all college kids.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't really want to have parties, so it's not a big deal. But noise is a thing we have to worry about. I mean, even if it's just like a Tuesday night and it's just the 3 of us home, sometimes we'll blast music and hang out. And it's like, we even have to be careful about that because we do have such a small house and live in such a residential area. So it's both good and not bad, but like there's downsides.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always fun to live in the middle of the party.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, it's nice to be able to get away from the party.
Right, that's what I always think about Austin's house is that he had parties so often at the beginning of the year and he's not having them now. But on Saturday nights, if they have this like light that they'll light up in the window when they're having parties, and sometimes they'll just like accidentally leave it left on and people just walk into their house like assuming that there's a party there because there used to always be parties there. So they have to be really, really careful about making sure that it does not turn into a party because
Yeah.
it could. It's ridiculous.
It's very different than when we were in school.
It's also a very different type of school, I'm sure. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, because the school I went to was mostly agriculture and engineering.
So there's a big tractor pull every Saturday night.
Well, and there's also like a very big Greek life on campus, which contributes to the parties definitely. I've actually never been to a frat or sorority party. They scare me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Did you have parties at your frat house?
Oh, hell yes.
We didn't have any at the sorority.
No, sororities usually didn't have parties.
Yeah.
Unless they were like teas or something.
Yes.
But we had parties.
Sororities have parties, but they also a lot of the time, because like I don't know how it works, but there's something about like there's usually a sorority and a frat that are like they're like
Yeah.
brother sister
Yeah.
Yeah.
whatever, and so a lot of the time like one or the other will have a party, and it's like both of them together. But there's not that many places on camp. There's not that many chapters that have houses, and those who do, a lot of them don't have parties at
What do you
the
mean
house.
they don't have houses?
They don't have like a official frat house, or if they
So
They just get
the-
together for meetings.
it's like a club.
sort of, but I mean, they still have all the same obligations, but they don't have, and I think a lot of them have like unofficial houses. Like there are only so many that have big mansions, and then I know of a few who have like, I don't think they're even houses. They're just like the house that they end up having parties at. That like one member like owns the house.
That's weird. I suppose.
But the
I mean,
bigger,
what I'm used to is, like you say, the big, I wouldn't call them mansions, but big houses.
yeah, the bigger sorority and frats have houses. There's this one frat that Austin has told me about. I've passed their house, but I've never been in it. Where there's a ton of bedrooms. Every bedroom has its own bar, and you get to like custom design your room when you move in.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Well, we could do that too with our own money.
Yeah, no, they like it was paid for by the frat.
They must have a good alumni association.
Ball State also spends its money on stupid things. They've spent, Miranda and I have our walking class, and we go in, the entrance we go in is basically like the basketball arena. The big arena across from my old dorm is the basketball arena, and then we go through in our classes in another building that's connected. But they are slowly replacing all of the stairs that lead into the arena. The stairs were fine. They're spending probably a massive amount of money to replace all of the stairs. Completely tear out and completely replace all the stairs.
I wonder if the underpinnings weren't safe.
Yeah, I mean that, maybe there was, the structure wasn't safe, or maybe they had to comply with a new law or something.
Yeah, it's
Does
just every
Ball State
time.
have any buildings that aren't?
Disabled access.
No. That are sort of in a state of disrepair?
Buildings, not so much as like parking lots and stuff. Like the commuter lot that I park in is, we'll have to just drive through it one day for you to accurately understand how terrible this lot is. You have to go through this narrow thing that is technically not even a one-way, but if you and another car are driving down it, you have to turn down a thing. There's like no avoiding each other. It is wide enough for one car.
Mm-hmm.
There are probably 50 potholes in this one stretch of road, one of which has gotten so bad that it's probably this deep and stretches across the entire road, so you cannot avoid it.
You just have to
slow down and ride it out. And once you get past that, the rest of the parking lot is gravel and not maintained.
Where is this lot? Because
It's-
this sounds kind of familiar to me.
It's so basically it's between campus and the village.
Well, I suppose this time of year, a lot of them have big potholes.
But it's
But that
like-
does sound familiar, the one-way thing, or the one
Yeah.
lane, or less than one lane.
And it's like that a lot of places. And I mean, simple things like the theater department has been trying to get its own building for a long time. There was a thing going last year where people were like voting on who should get a new building. It ended up going to football, which doesn't need a new building. We were second. We came in second.
Oh, well, that's progress.
Our rehearsals are spread out from one end of campus to the other. We don't have our own building. Like, almost every other major has its own building.
Sure.
We do not have our own building. We're spread out through like 4 or 5 buildings. So,
Well, the outside, the buildings all look fairly new
mhm.
and modern. I was appalled when we went into the dorm, how bad that was.
I mean, most of the buildings are kind of like, they're not like falling apart, but they're not nice.
Yeah.
They're not nice. But no, we need new stairs around the basketball arena. Every time Miranda and I pass it, we're like, yeah, that's what Ball State should be spending their money on. That's definitely what we need. New stairs. Yeah.
Well, I wondered if there wasn't some law that said per student there it had to be so many square feet of living space.
Yeah. Dorms can be tiny, I think. I think they can get away with that.
Part of the charm.
But I paid like twice as much for my dorms as I do for my house.
Yeah.
And I have an entire house. The dorms are such a ripoff.
So how does the financial aid work? Is that they just give you a lump
Oh,
sum check?
financial aid, we need to do that.
Mm.
Do they just give you a lump sum check when that comes in? And then you just
I have direct deposit now, so they just deposit excess into my account.
Is it so much per month? Is it?
No, it's all at once at the beginning of the semester.
So you have-
Don't you remember
manage
she paid a bunch of her rent at once?
I have my rent
Just to
paid
get it-
through May.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, in January I paid February through May. In August I paid August through January because I knew that I wasn't going to get my January financial aid before the 1st. So I wouldn't be able to pay January rent, so I paid August through January. And then in February I paid February through May.
and then over the summer I'll have to work to get June, July, August. And then I'll use my financial aid for September through probably January again.
And does your financial aid then cover anything besides your food and housing? Is there money left for anything else?
There's a little bit. I mean, it covers, it depends on the semester, because different classes I take have different fees and stuff.
Oh.
Like if you take anything in the business college, there's an extra fee, which is stupid. But, you know, I got to pay for things like books and a parking pass. And there's usually a little left over, but I've also got about $100 a month in bills that I've got to account for. So, I mean, there's usually some, but not enough that not working this semester is an easy thing to do.
You feel like the money grandpa gets you?
I'm still living pretty scarcely. Yeah, because I mean, after bills and after I paid $1,200 of rent right at the beginning of the semester, I paid like $90 for my parking pass. Books were outrageously expensive because I had to buy so many this semester, so I spent a bunch on books. Well, it's nice because a lot of my classes I just have to buy plays for. Plays are like $10. But when you have to buy 10 or 11 plays for one class, all of a sudden you have a lot of money that you're putting into this because they're anywhere from like $10 to $15.
You write something like ouch on Facebook?
Yes, yes. So, and then I took a lot of gen eds this semester, which added to my book fees. I try to buy used books if I can. I mean, I always buy used if I can. Renting is cheaper, but I also can't resell a book if I've rented it. And usually I can resell a book for not what I got it for, but decently close to what I got it for. So I try not to rent books, especially theater books, because my theater books I keep because I think they're useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's some books that if you sold them, you'd be sorry.
Yeah, I never.
Just somehow make it work and keep the book.
Yeah, I never sell plays. Plays are mine.
You might sell your econ book.
I actually just bought a workbook and I have not
Can you
used
burn
it
it?
once.
You can burn
I
it?
really might. That's not out of the question at all.
Let's go do this FAFSA thing.
Okay,
Taking you off. Say goodbye.
bye.
It's Emily's third or fourth birthday party for her 20th birthday.
What? Oh my god.
So there's Patrick. You have to move so that we can see that this is actually moving pictures.
Yeah, I'm not a...
Oh, he's very animated. There's Mary. There we go. There's Emily. There's Miranda. Grandma's in the back cooking. Is it going to be any good?
Oh, it's going to be delicious.
Is it going to be soon?
That's what they tell me anyway.
Okay. All right. That's good. Say hello, Emily.
Hey. Hello.
What day is it?
It's March 29th.
Yeah. And what's the celebration all about? Oh, where are we? Sorry, I forgot to ask that.
We're at your house.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm shocked.
And
It's 2 days after my
why are we all here?
For my birthday,
Which was
Friday.
a couple days ago.
Yeah,
So the celebration just goes on and on.
yeah. It does.
Okay, this is it though. This is it. Then you have to get on with the business of being 20.
This video's gonna be really fun with that going in the background.
Yeah, that'll sound nice. Okay, we'll return.
I found one that was so good. I hate noisy microphones. And I found one that you pulled out. It sat under the counter and you pulled it out and it literally lifted everything up into the exhaust system and you could hardly hear it.
Okay.
Boy,
And they don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
They
this
are,
is a-
yeah, they're
This is
always
a
loud.
closeout. I loved it.
Okay, here we are. See that empty space there? That's me. Turn around. Yeah, Mary, that's good. Okay, Patrick. Brenda. Emily. I've zoomed in significantly.
Okay.
Make lots of weird things.
Oh,
Freckles and moles.
all right. She's not going to do anything. It's still her birthday, though.
It's the birthday just keeps on giving.
Boy, it is.
Wait, did the flame ignite the what?
Happy birthday to you. Is it singing? Oh, we got to sing along with it.
This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. That's awesome. This is so. Do I blow it out now?
If you're able.
God, I'm gonna have to blow for a long time. It's gonna go slow. Yay!
Wow.
That's so cool.
It happened too fast,
I was
though.
not expecting
I
that.
wasn't either. Well, that's just something else. See something new every day.
Yeah, it should have happened slower. Did it emit sparks? I didn't see it.
Yeah, but they didn't go anywhere.
It's cool that the thing in the middle lit all the candles.
Yeah.
Clever, these Chinese.
Yeah, and then
Literally.
once they're lit, that's when it opened up.
Okay.
I sent your dad pictures of it in various stages on the box.
Autofocus.
Ah. It's all this technology stuff. I'm gonna have a bunch of snippets of recordings where I'm like trying to make this thing work.
What kind of a phone do you have, Mary?
It's a Samsung
We were having a discussion.
S5. Yeah, I'm the only iPhone thing on this
Do
side.
you want me to get a picture of it, or you're recording, or what?
I'm trying to just take a picture and it keeps
I'll
recording.
take a picture.
I thought it might hang. I didn't mean to get that size. I got it home and I realized it was that size.
It's okay.
Do you think you can make it work?
Maybe I'm losing weight and I'm closer to a small right now.
Oh, I know. I didn't mean to get that size.
No,
I
it's
just-
okay. Do you have a receipt? It's Target, right?
It's Target.
brand.
I don't know if I have the receipt or not. I'll have to look.
What size is it?
They have it in
Large
their.
or
They have it
is
in their
it large or
computer.
extra? Okay.
They should have it in their computer.
Yeah.
I've taken gifts back.
Could
with
she
them.
just take it without the receipt?
Yeah, just tell them it was a gift.
Especially if you're gonna get
Just
this
do that, I
together.
mean.
It's super cute though.
And I just bought it recently, so might be able to exchange it for a smaller one.
Okay. I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Here's a shirt that will fit you. You're welcome.
Oh, this notebook.
Yay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought it was so funny when I sent you that picture of the pants. You said, I just bought these for myself.
I have a pair of almost just like them. It's the pants that have the black stripe on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Mine have a black stripe on the side. They look just like that, and I thought they were so
brown
cute.
ones
And I
like
put
that.
them on, and I feel like I have track pants on.
Oh.
Same
It's all
style
like-
as that one pair.
Okay, I can wear these. They become PJs.
I love them.
Oh, I like all the pretty colors.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a bottle of wine.
That's what I was
You
thinking.
can enjoy it in a year.
Yeah, Grandpa says she's only going to be 20. Got some scissors?
Nope.
Good job.
I'm glad
Is
I
this
got
like
that
hazelnut
face
syrup?
recorded on
I was like,
film.
she did get her booze.
What is it?
She was slicing that down. I was like, oh no.
There was
coffee.
the color consistency
Yeah.
of whiskey.
Oh, sweetener.
It's hazelnut.
Nice. You like that?
Hazelnut what?
Miranda and I will
It's
enjoy
a
that.
flavoring that you put in coffee.
Delicious.
Yep.
Oh, I see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's awesome. Especially because now we're using the regular coffee pot. I miss our flavored
need-
coffee.
yeah.
We need to get the Keurig fixed.
I want to say, my Aunt Linda said that Keurig has such a good warranty that she bought one at Goodwill and got it home and it didn't work. Contacted Keurig and they sent her a brand new
Yeah,
Keurig.
you can just go
Really?
into Bath and Body
Yeah.
Works and they'll give you like the newest version.
That's
of
what
the
she
Keurig.
said. Bath and Body
They're,
Works.
Bed Bath & Beyond, you mean?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
They're changing their return policy.
Are they?
Yeah, they're gonna get more strict.
We should do it now then.
What'd you get him?
Socks.
See him?
Beatles?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're kind of Beatles. They're cute. Thank you.
Let me see.
Yeah, they didn't have as much actual Beatles stuff on them as I hoped.
They're cute though.
Love. It says the Beatles.
Yeah,
The Beatles.
they came from England. They could-
They must be
Real.
legit.
Those are actually what Beatles socks should look like in America.
These are the socks that the Beatles actually wore. Thanks, guys.
That's it, huh?
Happy birthday.
No, well, technically, that's not it. But,
What does that mean?
well, it means that I'm lazy and I didn't get a card or anything. And honestly, I just would have got you a stupid card anyway. It was probably like my condolences or something like that. Something
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
On your
Anything like that.
surgery.
So, you know, I mean, I'm just going to give you money.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, kick your roommate out.
Not Miranda.
God, I hope we don't like
We
make
get
up.
home and Richie and Emily are like, we don't want you to live with us anymore. And I'm like, what?
Or we like make up with Richie, and years from now she watches this video and she's like, guys.
I didn't have the good stuff on video. You're safe. You're safe. But if you'd like to rehash it again,
No.
we can get it down for
Blackmail
posterity.
you.
And then she'll be so mad.
Well, Norma, you ought to go get the check and put it with all of that stuff so she...
I got it.
Oh, it's here. Okay.
Yay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for being
Happy
awesome.
birthday.
I try.
Here's my love.
Thank you. Miranda got me cat socks and this really cute cat shirt, and she got a matching one that has dogs on it. So we can wear them together.
You guys are really dorky.
I like us.
Tell your mom about the nails you bought.
Oh my gosh, we went to this store today. It's new in Muncie. It's
wonderful.
called Five Below.
Uh-huh.
It's all like $5 and under.
Uh-huh.
I actually spent like $18. But the point is, I got these like stick-on nails that have pictures of cats with lasers coming out of their eyes. They're the weirdest things, but I had to get them.
That's
I also got a
great.
T-shirt that says "Every day is Catterday,"
Awesome.
and I'm gonna wear it every Saturday.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Do you watch Ellen?
Yes,
She has the cat week.
I follow her on
Yeah.
Instagram. She like every week she posts cat pictures.
Yeah.